Thank you, everyone. So let's talk a little bit about Louise Hay. Let's understand what she wants to talk about through her chapter, What I Believe. Yeah? Okay. How many of you had the chance to read the chapter first? Tell me through a what's that emoji that you can, yeah, thumbs up. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much. All right. I see only one thumbs up. How many of you did you guys get to read the chapter? Okay. Let me see in the chat. Okay. Nikita just joined, so didn't have the workbook. It's okay. We don't have to use the workbook right away. It's um, just the main PDF. Okay. Check on the group, or I will share the book with you. Like I'll just reshare the book. Okay, on the group, the PDF file. So that's okay. If you've had the chance, I would always recommend for you to read the chapter, the beginning of the session, because the chapters are going to be kind of exhaustive, so we can't discuss every little thing. It always helps to first read the chapter, and then you will have an even better experience when we actually discuss the concepts in the class, right? So I would recommend for you to do that. This is the basic one. This is a very fundamental chapter. And you'll see a lot of these concepts being repeated in other chapters too. Okay, so we'll start with this prayer. Let's read this prayer. Okay, in the infinity of life, one second, I'm just gonna expand this a little bit. Okay, in the infinity of life, where I am, all is perfect, whole, and complete. And yet, life is ever changing. There is no beginning and no end. Only a constant cycling and recycling of substance and experiences, right? We talk about cycling and recycling. It's the cycle of life and death. Cycling and recycling of substance. We are always taking new costumes, new bodies, new faces, and coming back, and then experiencing new things, right? So learning our lessons, having different kinds of experiences. So that's what she means when she says it's a constant cycling and recycling of substance, your body, right, and experiences. So life is never stuck or static or stale, for each moment is ever new and fresh. Huh? I am one with the very power that created me, and the power and that power has given me the power to create my own life experiences or circumstances, right? I rejoice in the knowledge that I have the power of my own mind to use it in any way I choose. This is what we're going to learn, that we have the power of our own mind to make our own decisions. Every moment of life is a new beginning point as we move from the old to the new, isn't it? Right? From the past to the present. What is old is the past. Everything that's gone, the experiences that we have lived, things that cannot be changed, right? The only thing we can change is make the decisions we're making in the present moment, right? So this moment is a new point of beginning for me right here and right now. And all is well in my world. All is well in my world, and everything is working out for my highest good. And you'll see these affirmations consistently being repeated. She will repeat these affirmations consistently throughout her book. So, to remind you, remind the audience, remind the reader, uh, that we have the power to create our own destiny. And when we know that we have the power to create our own destiny, we are conscious creators, then what do we choose to emphasize on? The good, right? So emphasize on all is well in my world. Okay, give power to this thought because you are creating what you're thinking, right? That's what we're going to learn in this chapter, right? So the first chapter is what I believe. Uh, Now, what do you think why did she choose this title, What I Believe? Can anyone tell me why did she choose this title? What was she thinking when she chose this title, What I Believe? What was her purpose? Feel free to share in the chat or even unmute yourself and speak. Beliefs create experiences. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's pivotal to know what I believe in, isn't it? To be conscious of what I choose to buy in, isn't it? I know. Fantastic. Thank you so much, everyone. Okay. So, wonderful. So, let's talk about some of these things. And what I'm gonna do is share some of those. Yeah, I'll also like screen share the book because I'm gonna use that to help you understand some of these concepts. So these are some of the things that she talks about. Okay, life is really very simple. What we give out, we get back. Now we're constantly creating our own reality. And I'm going to talk about these. We'll come back to these points. Okay. So life is very simple, she says. What we give out, we get back in every way. All right. The universe always supports us in every thought we choose to think and believe. The universal power never judges us or criticizes us. It's always constantly giving us what we are giving energy to. So, whatever we are thinking, we are really creating. Okay. What we need to do is we need to drop the rigid rules about how life is meant to be lived. And we need to learn to evolve with changing times. And this is a learning sort of a thing that she is trying to convey to us through what she talks about. And she gives us many examples. And another thing she talks about is that we are a sum of many, many, many experiences and social conditioning huh, that we receive from the moment we are born, right? So our family, friends, neighbors, teachers, everybody, random people, movies we watch, things we listen to, conversations we catch on, we pay attention to and choose to buy in, anything that catches our attention and makes us curious, right? Whatever narratives we take in, right, consciously or subconsciously, are creating who we are today. So these could be the experiences that we have had in this lifetime. And just think about it. Along with the experiences that we have actually experienced in this lifetime, the narratives and everything, in addition to that, we already have a lot of things that have been carried forward, right, from our past lifetimes, right? So we are a sum of all of those experiences, plus the social conditioning or the experiences we have accumulated till now, right? From the moment we were born up till the present moment. Okay. And she talks about that as little children, we learn from the reactions of adults around us, right? Because we are so vulnerable, right? We catch ideas, we catch narratives, and what we do is whatever we've picked up from our childhood years, we often unconsciously tend to recreate in our adult years, right? In our adult life. huh? She also believes, this is a very firm belief. She says that we choose our loved ones, we choose our family, right before. So this is part of the soul planning before we are born in the physical life, in the physical world. So we choose our loved ones, including our parents, our friends, family, and even those who challenge us. That's all part of the soul plan. Now, she does not talk about that, but she very much sort of touches upon that uh, aspect of spirituality that we are studying, that we are understanding through our uh, meditation, right? To the concepts of meditation and um, the concepts of reincarnation and soul plan and all of those things. So she talks about some of those things, but she touches upon those things very indirectly because she wrote this book in a context which is quite different from us in the sense that um, it's not easy to really talk about spirituality, right? But she talks about it in a very different way. One of the things that she always emphasizes on is the power point of power is always in the present moment, is that your present moment is your ally. Nothing in the past can be changed. Nothing in the future can be anticipated. Okay, it's a folly to anticipate the future and the worst that could happen in the future. Because when you know that you have the power to be a conscious creator, you know you can create your experiences and you have the power, then you will choose to give energy to emphasize on thoughts that will ultimately be transformed into a brighter future, right? So if you do want to anticipate, only think positive thoughts in the present moment. Okay, so giving power to fears and doubts of the uncertainties of the future, or holding on to any kind of resentment, any kind of emotions that have caused any kind of hurt in the past is a mistake. Your point of power only lies in the present moment because remember, whatever you're thinking is also what you're producing in the present moment, because in the present moment, if you're holding on to past, you're losing that time. You're losing this time, right? And you're recreating what you have lived in the past, right? So that's very important to understand. And that the only thing we are ever dealing with is a thought. This is as simple. And a thought can be changed. Okay. So we must learn to be able to overcome our disappointments, overcome whatever has happened in the past and let go. Okay. So this is something that we learn. Now, let me stop share and share the PDF. Okay, just give me 1 second and then I will reshare the presentation so that I'm going to take, here we go. All right, let's have a look at this. Okay. So now I am assuming those who have read, and it's okay if those who haven't read, you will have the chance to read this after the this session. Okay, so I would kindly ask you to definitely read this chapter because we will touch upon some of the important points, right? So, what I believe, the gateways to wisdom and knowledge are always open. We're constantly learning through our experiences and we're growing and evolving through them, right? So, this is something she talks about, right? Life is so simple. What we give out, we get back, right? What we think about ourselves becomes the truth of us. She's repeating the same thing and she's talking about one simple thing is that we have the power. Our thoughts are instrumental and everything has everything to do with our thoughts, right? So we're constantly, when we are not in the conscious state, usually every second of the day, right? Every second of your living life, we are constantly thinking. And we're constantly thinking. What are those thoughts? If we don't pay attention, those thoughts are what are actually occupying most of our time, right? And the moment we choose to dwell on a specific thought, that's when we are creating our future. Because whatever we emphasize on, whatever emotion we emphasize on, we recreate, right? Whatever fear we emphasize on, we manifest. Okay. So every thought we think is creating our future. Each one of us creates our experiences by our thoughts and our feelings. And the thoughts we think and the words we speak create our experiences. So the thoughts we are thinking, Eventually, if we are thinking too much about it and emphasizing on it, they translate as words that come out of our mouth, right? So the narratives then, so the thoughts become the narratives, and the narratives then become our manifestation, because if we keep thinking based on some disappointment or something that happened in the past, good or bad, we are then deducing or creating a narrative just because that person made me feel, I did not like the way that person made me feel, right? Just think about this. Now, the moment you have brought those thoughts and translated it into words, it's now become an affirmation. And if you keep repeating it, you will find yourself in the same circumstance or same situation. Now, that person will continue to make you feel terrible, just the way you think that person made you feel in the past, right? So, you must be very, very careful about what thought you hold on to, right? Which is the reason why she will talk about forgiveness, right? It's so important to forgive. It's because it's not about that person, it is about you. You need to release those feelings, let go of those feelings, right? So, no person, the other thing she says is that no person, no place, and no thing has any power over us, for we are the only thinkers in our mind. We often blame other people for making us feel a certain way, for influencing our thought pattern, right? If you find that you're constantly surrounded by people who are interfering, now we know that there's the primary, one of the primary things that Pedama Patriji talked about was no interference. This is a golden rule as well. No interference. That's something that we need to understand. But if you feel you are experiencing so much interference, it's okay. It's okay to give yourself grace, to create safe boundaries, and to give yourself a break and take a little bit of distance, right? Take a little bit of distance and take some time for yourself, right? Because we cannot change other people, right? And that does not mean that people who are interfering are, don't have the best intentions for you, right? So we don't have to judge anybody. We don't have to overthink. We just need to work around ourselves. So this is not about changing any circumstance around you. It is about changing your own thought process, your own belief system. Okay? And just know that no one, no person, no place, no thing has any power over us, because we are the sole thinkers in our mind. When we create peace and harmony and balance in our minds, we will find it in our lives and we will create it in our surroundings, right? Now, she talks about these two statements. Huh? Which of these statements sound like you? People are out to get me, or everyone is always helpful. How many times we've actually felt that? Huh? We felt that, so we've all experienced that, isn't it? So many people tell us that, uh, so many times we assume that, one thing goes wrong and somebody's out there to get me. I'm sure somebody's out there to get me, right? Or, you know, something good happens and then, we assume, we say that everyone is helpful. Suddenly, we are victims of circumstances, first of all. And the other thing is we quickly buy into, any emotion very, very quickly, right, without giving it a thought. So we are not really working in a conscious manner, right? So, anyways, when you know that you are a conscious creator, then you would choose the affirmation, or you would choose the thought that would actually benefit you. So when you know you are a conscious creator, which statement would you choose? Would you choose people are out to get me? Because whatever you buy in, you are going to recreate in your life, right? Huh? So obviously you will choose everyone is always helpful, right? So you need to be very careful about what you buy in. Huh? Each of these beliefs will create quite different experiences. What we believe about ourselves and about life becomes true for us, right? Then the other thing she talks about is that the universe totally supports us in every thought we choose to think. I also just want to mention, just for a second, that if you have any questions, okay, we're going to take 10 minutes of Q&A, okay? Um, so towards the end of the session. So, but for now, let's just think about it. If you have any questions, make a note of them. We will take up questions as well, okay? 5 or 10 minutes. So we will designate a class where we can discuss some of these questions. Okay. All right. So the universe always supports us in every thought we choose to think and believe. And the universe totally and always supports us, right? Because in other words, our subconscious mind accepts whatever we choose to believe in, right? It's constantly just taking information. Just think about it. It's uh, regardless of how you're feeling, regardless of what you're thinking, it's taking in everything. Okay, regardless of the fact that I don't want this to happen, regardless of your thought wherein you fear something, right? And you fear that that thing would happen, and you're constantly telling yourself, I don't want this thing to happen, but you're thinking that, right? So your subconscious mind is nevertheless collecting all that information, right? Whatever you fear is still going inside, even if you don't want that to be part of your thought process, but it is part of your thought process because you're giving energy to it and you're constantly emphasizing on that thought. So it's very scientific. Okay, there is part of our brain that actually, regardless of what we want or what we don't, anything we emphasize on or give too much thought to just gets stored. Okay, it just gets stored. Simple, right? So it's very important to then understand that the universe is constantly supporting me. In other words, it's constantly saying, Amen. This is what you asked. This is what you kept saying or thinking. This is what I'm going to present to you, right? So that's why we manifest even what we fear, right? So we need to be again careful about what we are thinking, what we're giving thought to, and we'll understand how to recognize some of those patterns and break those patterns. Okay. The universal power never judges or criticizes us, right? It only accepts us as at our own value. So whatever we choose to perceive ourselves to be, we become. If you look at yourself in the mirror and only find faults, you will only find faults in the future as well. Every day you look at yourself, and if you unconsciously are only focused on the flaws, you will only continue to focus on those flaws. Yeah? People will come across and even point out those flaws to you. Why? Because you're constantly manifesting and overthinking about it. It is really, I've experienced it myself, and so I can tell you that the more you focus on things you don't want, the more you bring those things or invite those things in. Yeah? So then it reflects our beliefs in our life. So whatever we however we see ourselves reflects our beliefs in our life. So if I want to believe that life is lonely, then that's what I'll find. On the contrary, if I want to believe that love is everywhere and I am loving and lovable, then that's what I'm going to find, right? So I can change my narrative. Breaking the pattern meaning changing the narrative that has been unconsciously playing in our minds. Okay, so I can change my narrative from I'm feeling alone and lonely to loving people are now coming into my life. Huh? And the people already in my life are becoming even more loving to me. Keeping uh, your narrative in the present moment is also a very powerful technique, right? So she is just giving an example and she's saying, I will find myself easily expressing love to others, right? So bring yourself in the present moment and affirm the things you actually want, okay? Most of us have foolish ideas about who we are and many rigid rules about how life ought to be. So she talks about some of the stereotypes, right? Men don't cry, women can't handle money. These are some of the stereotypes, or these are some of the overused narratives that we have heard right from our childhood years to our teenage to our adult years, right? But now that you are becoming conscious, you don't have to buy into any of those narratives, right? You're not defined by your name. You're not defined by your biological status. You're not defined by your marital status either. You're not defined by any social metaphors that have been used to describe you. Huh? You're defined by one simple thing. You always have must remember this. You're defined by one simple thing, that you are the light of the Creator. You've got the power within you, and you're a divine and a powerful soul. That's your true reality. So always remind yourself that everything else around you, you can easily change based on what you want, right? So you're not defined by narratives or metaphors or titles that you've received outside of you. It really depends on how you choose to perceive yourself, how you choose to see yourself, right? So choose the narrative, choose the thought, and choose the words based on what you actually want. Okay, this is what she's trying to convey. When we are very little, we learn how to feel about ourselves and about life by the reactions of adults around us, right? Yes, because we are very vulnerable during childhood. So it's very so we take in everything without conscious thought. We just grab whatever we are hearing and we take it in. What does this tell us? If you have children in your house, if you have young adults or teenagers in your house, be very, very careful about the kind of narratives you use, right? To not define anybody. My simple rule is I do not define anyone. There's no one else I feel that I have the right to define or title. Um, other than myself, right? I have the power to create my own life, to create my own image for myself, right? Whatever everybody else is saying or doing is really their purpose, right? So the rule of non-interference and the rule of always remembering that the power always lies in the present moment and the power is always within me. huh? So she talks about a lot of these things because it's very important to sort of go back in to understand your patterns. To catch your patterns, you need to understand that most of these patterns have been acquired in your childhood, right? In your growing years. So it's essential to sort of recognize them and acknowledge them, right? And then most of the times when we recognize those patterns, we end up blaming. We end up blaming the people from whom we acquired a lot of those patterns. So that could be our parents. And that's I think the first thing people do is blame their families or blame their loved ones. And it's something that everybody has done. I've done that too, right? But listen to what she says. We are all victims of victims. uh, and they could not possibly have taught us anything they did not know. So, if any of your parent did not know how to love themselves, obviously they will not be able to show or express that love to you, to their child, because they never learned it themselves, right? If they always grew up, it's so important to understand. Go back, check with your parents, go back and try to have a conversation with them. If you have your family around, do that. If you cannot, if you don't have your family anymore, it's okay. Just just know that each individual is a sum of the experiences they received and the conditioning they received, right? So we cannot blame anybody, right? I am a sum of the experiences I received. And now, because I am aware, I can consciously create my own reality, right? So I don't have to blame anybody. I need to have more compassion for my loved ones who also received their social conditioning from their family members, their parents, their friends and family, right? So we need to develop more compassion for each other. That's the only way we can learn to move forward. Otherwise, we stay stuck in the past, which is not nice, right? So they were doing the best they could with what they had been taught as children, right? So if you want to understand your parents more, get them to talk about their own childhood, right? And if you listen with compassion, you will learn where their fears and limiting beliefs came from, right? So those people who did all that stuff to you were just as frightened and scared as you are today, right? So developing compassion. That's another thing that she talks about. Your love for yourself cannot come if you don't have love for others, and vice versa, right? So, developing forgiveness for yourself and forgiveness for others is the path to really healing at your physical, emotional, and mental level. Okay. So she talks about that we choose our parents. Now, each one of us decides to incarnate upon this planet at a particular point in time and space. We have chosen to come here to learn a specific lesson that will advance us upon our spiritual evolutionary pathway. So we choose our sex, our color, our country, and then we look around for the particular set of parents who will mirror the pattern we are bringing in to work on this lifetime. Okay? Because if everything is so perfect, you will not learn the lesson, right? So if you don't get to experience the pain, how will you know how it feels, right? So people who experience abandonment, or people who experience betrayal, or people who experience any kind of hurt, right? It's only through the experience that you actually understand what it feels like to go through what you're going through. It's a very difficult truth. Okay, it's one of the most challenging things um, to live through, right? Because only the person who's living through can actually explain it. And I'll tell you, I know that everybody has gone through or is going through something or the other. Just know that whatever you're going through, it's only so you understand how it feels, right? When somebody betrays you, and how do you feel on the inside? What is the path now to actually get out of that? How do you get out of that feeling? Through detachment. Detachment is the key to actually coming out of that feeling, right? We'll learn about that in the uh, uh, in the other classes, right? So in the other sessions. Okay, I see someone scribbling on my screen. All right. Okay, let's not do that. But yeah, if you have questions, feel free to message me in the chat. Okay. All right. Now, I believe, so she says, I believe that we choose our parents. Huh? And so she comes back to the very important message we've been talking about. The point of power is always in the present moment. All the events we have experienced in our lifetime up to this moment have been created by our thoughts and beliefs. So you have held in the past, anything you're holding on to or buying into, right, is what you are giving focus on or attention to, right? So they were created by the thoughts and words you used yesterday, isn't it? So your present moment is a sum of what you have been thinking yesterday. If you want to break the pattern, you need to catch yourself in that moment. Oh, I was thinking about that specific event that caused me a little bit of agony. Why am I thinking about it again? No. Oh, okay. Let's just come back to the present moment. That is gone. Yeah, done and dusted. It's not going to change. Nothing's going to change in that specific event, which is now gone, occurred in the past. Come back to the present moment. What is essential for me now, right? So, this is a practice of conscious work. Okay, this is conscious work that you do. This is not something that, um, we can't just run a magic wand and suddenly things are going to be okay. This is a conscious work that you have to do, practice in the now. Okay, anytime you have any thoughts coming from the past experiences, even if something happened yesterday, you know, learn to detach yourself. What do you mean by detaching yourself? Detaching yourself from the identity. Jasmine experienced this yesterday. All right, that was yesterday. That's in the past. Come back to the present moment. This is what I need to do right now. Okay, that's what's important because I want to create a better future. I need to focus on my present. Okay, so this is the technique I am adopting. Leave the past, be in the present. Okay, so only thing we are ever dealing with is a thought. and a thought can be changed. And no matter what the problem is, our experiences are just the outer effects of our inner thoughts. So it's the inner work we are focusing on. I remember last time some of you shared some of the grievances, some of the things that you are going through. Uh, the only way to actually come out of those things is because you need to recognize that holding on to something that happened yesterday is not going to change anything now. If you want to move forward, right? First of all, you need to drop expectation. Have you ever come across this thing? You want something, okay? You're probably wandering in the shopping in a shopping center and you find something nice and you're not overtly obsessed about it and you just give it a thought. And this is nice. It'd be nice to have this. Okay, all right. And then you don't obsess about it. And then weeks or months or whatever time frame later, you find yourself that thing just comes to you. Somebody gifts you that specific object, or you find it more affordable, and you come across this again. This time it's more affordable to you, and you actually buy it, right? Or somebody gifts it to you, right? So I have actually experienced this so many times. It really does happen, right? Anything you cling to pushes away. Anything you hold on to too much and give too much thought, huh? You're actually, any fear you're giving too much thought on, it actually comes, manifests, right? Unfortunately, but that's how true it is. Huh? And anything you just let go of, something that really brings you joy, that could bring you joy, and you know that, oh, this is nice. I wish I could have this. That's okay. And then you forget about it. And then suddenly that thing actually comes to you and out of nowhere. You had no expectation, you let it go, you didn't think about it too much, and that thing just, comes to your life through some person, through some situation, somehow. You didn't even think about it too much, right? So life is in the present and in letting go and in loosening yourself, not holding too tightly to anything. Nothing holding, not holding too tightly to things in the past, nor holding too tightly to what expectations you have for the future, from a person, from a situation, uh, or anything. Dropping expectations is very important. Believe it or not, we do choose our thoughts. We may habitually think the same thought over and over so that it does not seem we are so that it does not seem we are choosing the thought, right? But we did make the original choice. Is the moment we emphasize on something, we are making that choice, right? So now I want to bring us to the essential part here. Resentment, criticism, guilt, and we'll talk about this. So I want to bring us back to the presentation. Beliefs create our experiences. How to change the thought and really believe in it when you are experiencing hardships. I can think something nice for now, but maybe my underlying energy is still of doubt because it takes habit to change beliefs. Absolutely, you've answered your own question. It takes habit to change beliefs. You have to create, you have to build a new habit. And the moment you decide that you want to change, you have already taken the first step, right? How to change the thought and really believe in it when you are experiencing some hardships. So, when you're experiencing hardships, you need to purposefully set some time aside. Okay, setting some time aside, you're going through whatever specific hardship that you're going through, setting some time aside for your inner work, and this begins with your meditation, right? So we'll talk about that. I'm so glad that you've shared this, Rashika. Thank you so much. Okay, we'll come back to this. Okay, so let me now stop share and let me share the presentation with you. This is kind of going a little longer, so I'm just gonna uh, we'll have to sort of let's see. 1 second. So share second screen. There we go. Okay. So I'm so glad that you've talked about this because this is so important, right? Because really, in real life situations, how do we create that balance, right? put the chat here. Okay, so I have it. So since I'm not able to see the participants, I usually, let me just see, make sure that I am able to. So if you have questions, just raise your hand, okay? I'm gonna place you here so that I know if somebody has a question and has a hand raise, okay? Okay, so so this is so important. Remember these points, super, super important. Okay, what we give out, we get back. The universe always supports us in every thought we choose to think and believe. And moving forward, right? So, as little children, we learn from the reactions of adults around us. So, it's very important to remember this. So, we are very much creating our life based on the experiences we have lived. If we are unconscious, if you're not conscious, if you're not aware of what we are thinking, we're constantly recreating based on our experiences of the past, right? And most of the patterns that we find today have been developed in our childhood years, or teenage years. Okay, so we are creating those based on those reactions, right? Reactions of adults around us. We have learned, we have picked up those patterns, but that does not mean that we start blaming our loved ones, right? Why? Because as I explained, we can only we can only give what we have. So whatever we received from others was only based on what they knew, and so they did the best, right? So we cannot blame anybody. Even if somebody is yelling at you in a um, in a shopping mall, standing in a queue, right? They're not doing it because of you. They're doing it because of what they are going through and what they've learned and whatever they're experiencing, whatever emotion they are experiencing in the moment, right? So it's never, nothing anybody does or says or thinks is because of you. It's because of whatever they have experienced, whatever they are perceiving, whatever they have experienced, whatever experiences they have gathered, right? So when we learn to develop compassion for our loved ones, we understand where they're coming from, and then we learn to drop our expectations. Okay, and so how do we do that? By changing our thought patterns ourselves, right? The only thing we're ever dealing with is a thought, and a thought can always be changed. No matter what the problem is, we can always change our thoughts. Okay, so now let's talk about what is really essential. She talks about these. Now, this is so important, okay? But I don't want you to dwell on those four mental toxins, the four mental toxins that we must learn to release, right? That I'll answer your question, Rashika. So, the four mental toxins. What are the four mental toxins? Resentment, criticism, guilt, and fear. These are the four, some of the most uh, important things we need to sort of release, we need to abandon, we need to let go, because these are responsible for most of the illnesses, physical illnesses. uh. And I can tell you with example, fear, guilt, criticism. Most of the times, and I mentioned this last time, most of the people you'll see criticizing others are the biggest criticizers of themselves. So if you are too critical of yourself, you are going to be very critical of the world around you, right? So that's where self acceptance comes in. huh? So most of these feelings, they come from either blaming yourself or blaming others, right? And a lot of times, not taking responsibility for our own experiences. Okay. Taking responsibility does not mean you have to go in guilt that I did this to me. Taking responsibility is simply acknowledging that, okay, because I thought a certain way, I created that. I brought that. That's okay. I did that. Now that I've acknowledged it, right? Acknowledging means self approving, understanding. Okay. Coming to terms with. If I am going through a hardship, there could be many, many reasons. There could be things that have happened in the past, in my past lifetimes. There could be lessons that I'm meant to learn in this lifetime. There could be karmic reasons, and then there could be, um, simply circumstances that I find myself in because I have been too much in a state of fear or doubt or self-criticism, right? So whatever you're thinking, you're creating in your life, right? So when you come to terms with the fact that you are the only sole creator, in your mind, you're the only sole thinker in your mind, immediately you can shift your attention to something else. From illness, shift your attention to healing. uh, from resentment, shift your attention to forgiving and letting go, right? So this is something we need to do. We need to release these toxins. Your first step is acknowledging the patterns that you have been holding on to. Okay, the patterns that occur. Now, the patterns could be the thought processes that basically come in your mind, right? So, thoughts or the narratives that come in your mind. Because what is happening in our mind? What are the thoughts? These are basically literally conversations. Our subconscious is constantly talking to us. Huh? So, she gives an example. Now, Louise gives an example. Everyone always does such and such to me, criticizes me, etc. Right? So, this thought, if it is recurring, that's your pattern. Thought coming over and over again is your pattern. If you're not conscious, you're just buying into that thought and then you're constantly feeling sad or bad or whatever, right? But the moment you catch it by taking a distance, the moment you have thoughts like these, you catch your patterns. But the moment you have these patterns, you have to catch them. How do you catch them? Literally detach yourself from your ego. What do you mean by detaching yourself from your ego? It simply means taking a distance. So start referring to the person who's experiencing who's experiencing. If um, Tom is experiencing sadness, now let's see, Tom. Okay, Tom is detaching from that identity. Okay, now and if I'm Tom, I'm going to say, this is what I'm going to say, respond, okay, to my mind because I need to rewire my mind. So I'm going to say, okay, Tom is experiencing sadness. All right, let's change that narrative. Huh? Tom chooses to release what has happened in the past. Okay, you have to rewire your narrative, right? You can either detach yourself or you can say it with the in first person, right? It's the easiest because detachment again is a very big concept, but there are different ways of rewiring your mind. Okay, but this is just for you to understand that the moment when we are very hurt, we hold on to a certain emotion, it becomes really difficult for us to come back in the present moment. And this is the technique of detachment is used to basically bring you in the present moment. Because the moment you are not Tom, the moment I am not Jasmine, I'm just a soul who's experiencing something, right? And then I just see that, okay, Jasmine went through this or went through that, whatever she went through. But she has the power to create her own life, right? So Jasmine can now choose a better path for herself, right? So this is me having a conversation without sobbing, crying, and identifying with Jasmine. I can detach. Okay. So learning to detach is also a skill. It's a mental skill that you need to adopt. But if it is too difficult and it sounds very awkward for you right now, it's okay. Learning to rewire your brain. So by recognizing your pattern and changing the narrative, right? So you can change the narrative instead of saying that I am feeling this and this, you need to feel on the inside. First, you need to feel on the inside. Okay. Instead of saying nobody supports me, feel on the inside and visualize everyone supports me. I am loved and surrounded by loving and kind people all around me. Okay, and you'll find that this is a difficult process in the beginning, but you need to do it. You need to be persistent and you need to try it every single day, and that will change your perspective. That will change your way of thinking, because you're rewiring, you're replacing the old narrative with a new narrative, right? Everyone supports me, loves me, and is always there for me. Huh? I'm surrounded by kind, loving family and friends who bring comfort, strength, and warmth in my life. Okay. So this is one thing. This is one technique, huh? One step. Recognizing your pattern, change your narrative, and if you actually use visualization along with your narrative change, it becomes doubly powerful. Doubly powerful. So this is something that often can be done when you attach this practice with a cue. Okay, so if you go take out half an hour, and sort of disconnect from your regular surroundings and go, for instance, to a park or go to a nature spot and then do this inner work. Because when you do this inner work, oftentimes, in a familiar surrounding, you might feel like you're being judged, or you might feel like a lot of people are interfering. There's too much noise. There's this and that. It's okay. Find a place where no one will disturb you. Detach, give yourself the space. This is something that you need to absolutely inculcate in if you want to bring about change, because oftentimes, they say that yes, you can learn to exist in noise, you can learn to exist in all kinds of chaos. I find that that is not true. You have to learn to take time out for yourself. If you don't take out time for yourself, you cannot expect change to happen, right? So selfishly take time out for yourself. That's part of your self work. The other step is forgiving and letting go. Forgiveness is not about others. It is not about condoning bad behavior, and it is not about judging. No, nobody who forgives or gets or receives forgiveness from anyone is good or bad or bigger or smaller. Yeah? When people say that be the bigger person and forgive this person, that's a wrong narrative. You're not becoming a bigger person, and you're not judging that person for being bad or wrong or evil or whatever. Why? Because each individual only behaves based on their level of awareness. So once at the spiritual level you understand that, then you will have more compassion for yourself and also for those around you. And it's really the toughest thing to do, but this is the truth. Understand it and imbibe it right now. It will save you a lot of agony in the future. Okay. So nothing anybody does is because of you. It's only because of what they are experiencing, they're going through, they're thinking based on their experiences that they've accumulated right from their own childhood years, or teenage years or adult years or whatever, or from the previous lifetimes. So everyone is only experiencing life. Okay. So forgive and let go. It will do you a world of good. Holding on to past resentment, criticism, guilt, or any kind of fear only leads to a lot of is a cause of a lot of physical ailments, and we want to be in the present moment and let them go. Okay. This is what Louise Hay did. This was her process of letting go to come to terms with her present moment, understanding that she is the creator. Whatever she went through, she created. Whatever she wants to create, she can only do that by changing or rewiring her thought process in the present moment. You're not going to change your thought process tomorrow. You will do it today. This is the present moment, right? Self approval. So, forgiveness during meditation. Now, this is something very essential. Your forgiveness practice becomes really powerful the moment you include it during your meditation practice. And this is why I want to do longer meditations. We can't probably do them in these sessions, but I will assign a specific day, or we will just pick a day and meditate. So, I will send you that link and everything. But meditation, Anapanasati meditation, combine it with forgiveness, and that's the best way to forgive, because you align with your heart center, you align with your heart God qualities through your by aligning and focusing on your heart center. And we will do that practice today. I know that we're kind of beyond we've gone past the time, but we will do this practice very quickly. Self-approval and acceptance. This is going to come to you as a result of your meditative practices and through your consistent narrative change. Okay, consistently changing your narratives. Okay, so you are not, you are neither a slave to your past hurts, nor are you a slave to your future doubts or fears. You are a conscious creator who's choosing to be in the present moment. This past is over and done. So we cannot change that now. Yet, we can change our thoughts about the past. We can choose to change our, yeah, we can choose to change our thoughts about the past. Okay, so that is where we need to make the effort. Okay, now this is again, this is something she doesn't talk about very directly, but this is what she's implying. This is what she's really implying. So be very, very careful about what you choose to buy into. When you go to a mall and you want to actually get a specific object, you want to buy a pair of jeans, what do you do when you want to buy a pair of jeans? You go to different stores and you look at what is the quality of the jeans they're selling, right? Is it of the right size? Is it of the right color? Is it of the right? What is the material made of? Is it 100% cotton, or is it 20% cotton and 80% nylon, or is it like cotton nylon mixed with polyester? What kind of value is it bringing to you? You make all these decisions. You do so much research. Then why would you not be conscious about what you're thinking, right? So if you pay attention to the narrative that you're not good enough, how can you possibly create a loving or a joyous or a prosperous life for yourself? Prosperity is not just about money. Or abundance, usually people attach it to money. Abundance or prosperity is not a question of money, always. Yeah, it includes that. But you can have abundance of time. You can have abundance of positive thinking. You can have abundance of joy in your life. Okay. So you need to change your inner being. If you look at this image, this is the image of an iceberg, right? You know what the iceberg effect is. Huh? 80% of what is really at the core of your thought is what actually reflects on the outside. Okay. So if your core thinking is that you're not good enough, that is going to impact how you feel about yourself at the physical level, your body, how you are with the people around you, your relationships, and your finances, right? Or, I mean, these are just three examples, but there are many things. So your lack at the core is what reflects on the outside, in the outer world, right? Whether it is how you perceive yourself, in your physical appearance, whether it is what kind of relationships you hold with other people, with those around you, or how much you have in your what is the bank balance. You can have $0 in your bank balance and you can still feel abundant, and you'll see that balance grow and transform. Okay, that really depends on how much, what is your thought process in the present moment, right? Staying and thinking of lack only brings us lack. Thinking of abundance and feeling abundant, how can you start thinking? Now you might say that, oh, how can I feel abundant with $0 in my bank account? I'll tell you something. Okay, I am looking for work these days, right? So I took a long health break because I had to take that health break. I was not well, I had to be treated. Until December of last year, I was still reeling through pains from my stitches. I started looking for work since this year, January. I'm still powering through. Uh, but that time has really taught me a lot. Okay, what am I grateful for? Even though I've gone through that challenge, and even through right now, it's a challenge to find, right connections and find the right opportunity that I'm looking for. What's the challenge, right? How am I getting through that? I have a cup of water, this cup in which I can pour water and I can drink it. I'm counting that blessing. right? The fact that I'm able to connect with, I have a laptop, I can type, I can send my resumes. It's a big blessing. I have books I can read, I've got a roof on top of my head, I've got water, heat, food in the fridge. With whatever resources I have, existing resources I have, I am super grateful. Okay? So learning to be, so you will find so many things to be grateful for if you actually start looking. The smallest things are the things you need to count, right? I'm even grateful for the snow. And there was a time when I used to dislike snow. I used to go in that sad cribbing mode of like, why the hell do we have winters? But this is only a reflection of nature. It's just part of nature. I'm grateful for the nature. So many times I go for a walk in the snow and then people look at me up and down and they're like, what, she's gone mad. She's walking in the snow. It's cold outside. But I'm all wrapped, nicely wrapped in my warm clothing. And I choose to still go for my walks. Why? Because I know that my persistent effort is the only way I can rewire my mind. I can prepare myself for change. I can only change when I make the effort to change. If I sit and think things are going to work or things are going to suddenly change for my benefit and I'm not doing any work, that's not going to happen. That's why you need to put in your effort and do the inner work. Now, enough lecture. Here is what I'm going to do. I want you to do an exercise. Let's do this little exercise, okay? I want you to think about one limiting belief about yourself. Just one. Even if there are 10, it's okay. I want you to pick only one. This is something that we're doing right now. Okay, so either write it on a piece of paper or you know, just bring that thought to your mind. Okay, that you're not attaching yourself to that thought, you're just recognizing it. Okay, one limiting belief. And I want you to ask yourself if you've recognized it. I think this way. I always think this way. Okay, I recognize that this thought is coming to me all the time. This is one limiting belief I have about myself or my surroundings or my situations or whatever. Now, who told you that? Where did you hear it from? Did you hear it from your family, friends? This is a recognition, acknowledgement exercise. Huh? Okay. So did you hear that specific limiting belief? Where did it come from? Where did it stem from? Somewhere someone said something from family members, friends, relatives, neighbors, teachers, random people. Did you hear it from the television, from the radio? Did you pick it from a movie you watched? Did you read it somewhere? Now, if you have recognized that, why did you choose to believe in it? You must have heard it somewhere, right? Why did you choose to believe in it? Was it because you chose to listen to someone close to you, someone you trusted for advice? Now, let's go deeper. Was it because you were seeking approval from someone outside of you? You're seeking validation because validation calms us down, isn't it? I'm feeling sad. I need to share it with someone. Here is an example. Okay. You decide that you want to share it with someone. You tell somebody, I need to really, really crib. I really need to crib. You phone this person, and this person tells you, stop cribbing. I don't want to listen to you. You immediately feel absolutely terrible, even worse than how you were feeling. Why? Because that person did not validate how you were feeling. You phone another person. The other person picks up the phone and says, I totally understand what you're going through. You suddenly calm down. Yeah, I feel better. Thank you for listening to me. How many times we go through this? We all go through this. You know what that process is? It's a process of approval. Now, I want you to do one thing. I want you to approve of yourself. Because the same thing, what happens, huh? Let me go back. What happens when you seek approval and when you find approval and someone says, okay, I understand what you're going through. In fact, I totally agree with you. You should not have gone through what you went through. That person should not have treated you that way. You immediately calm down. You found approval. Now, what this does, while it calms you down, and it really is a big blessing to have people listen to you and approve of you, right? Because it really is a big blessing, I'll tell you that. But what it really does also at the same time, other than calming you, is make you very dependent on the approvals of that you receive from other people. You become very, very dependent. Every single time you go through something bad or sad or whatever, you're going to phone that person. That person cannot always give you approval. That person might be going through their own things. Okay. What's the process then? Becoming aware is a multi-step process. We talked about recognizing your pattern. We talked about catching your narrative and changing your narrative, right? On purpose and very consciously. We talked about forgiveness. We talked about self acceptance. This is what self acceptance is. Okay. We are talking about self approval now. Self acceptance comes from self approval. So instead of asking for validation, I approve of myself. I am going through something. Okay, that's fine. I am detaching from myself and now I'm going to focus on the best solutions. This does not mean you don't seek advice, but learning to forgive yourself and approving of yourself is very, very important. This happens in different situations in different ways and not just when you're hurt. Say, suppose you've made something, you made this, I made this presentation. If I wasn't approving of myself or if I wasn't feeling, having that faith in myself, I would ask 10 people, can you tell me, do you think this is okay? I mean, I'm open to feedback, right? It doesn't mean that you don't have to be open to feedback, but seeking constant approval or constant validation makes you very dependent on everything outside of you. And what Louise Hay wants to talk about is she's making you independent, be autonomous, own your situation. You're a conscious creator. You can create your own life because you really have the power inside you. And that power even magnifies when you meditate because you're really taking in so much divine energy in you other than what you get in your sleep, right? And then if you're making conscious effort, conscious narrative change, and changing your thought process, which means start approving of yourself, right? This is literally a conscious narrative change. And at the first time you say, you hold the mirror in front of you and you say, I approve of myself. Okay, which means that for little decisions or for validations, I'm not going to seek anybody outside of me. I know I have the faith, right? I have complete confidence in myself. I am going to change my situation on my own, right? So, like they say, um, what can't be cured must be endured. Or you're the conscious creator. What you can change, and you can create a better situation for yourself, create your own path, right? Like I'm thinking about so many different things I want to do other than just depending on an outside employer, right? Right? So you have to carve your own way. You have to learn to carve your own way, learn new skills. Yeah, this is just an example. Like, oh, if you can't find the right people, for what you want to do in your life, in your professional, for instance, then create your own path. If you can't find a path designed for you, you design your own path, right? So it's time to release all those limiting beliefs now. I want you have your mics off, okay? Perfect. Muted, okay? Perfect. Now, say it out loud. Say it out loud. I approve of myself. And listen to your own voice. Okay. This is not about somebody telling you to do that. You're listening to your own voice, training your ears to listen to your voice. I approve of myself. I am a wonderful divine soul. I am a powerful divine soul. I choose the present moment and I send out divine love to every person, place, or experience that has been part of my journey. I gently release the past. I am safe, I am protected, and I am guided by the divine at all time. I am safe, I am protected, and I am guided by the divine at all times. Huh? How does it feel? How does it feel? It feels freeing, isn't it? Feels freeing. We need to learn to free others, free the past to free ourselves. Isn't it? Learning to free the past to free ourselves. It begins with freeing ourselves first. Approving of yourself will help you release your past as well, right? I approve of myself because what do you mean by approving of yourself? Yes, when I approve of myself, I take responsibility for myself. That person said XYZ. Who chose to believe in that narrative? I chose to believe in that narrative. So that's my responsibility. It's a different matter that, because we were unaware in that moment. Yes, okay, forgive yourself as well. Don't go in guilt. Oftentimes people say, oh my God, that is all my fault. No, 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 no. I don't want you to think that way. I don't want you to go in guilt. That's the worst you can do to yourself. Neither put anybody in guilt. If somebody is going through this and seeking your advice, don't put them in guilt. You did this to you. Oh, no, no, no. Tell them it's okay. These, this is something that happened because we unconsciously bought in certain narratives, but we can consciously change it now, right? So I approve of myself and I release the past. Okay. I want you to practice this 20 times every day in front of your mirror. Okay. And I'm just not saying it. I really am very serious about it because this is part of the healing that she talks about. We don't have to do a separate class on, separate series on mirror work. Okay. We need to imbibe it in these practices. So I'm going to bring this in these practices for you. Okay. And you know what? So you feel encouraged. Let me show you my mirror that I have. And I'll also show you my journal. So what I want you to do is I want you to make sure that you have your journal, have a journal assigned for this work. Look at this. This is the book, Mirror Work. But I don't want to bombard you with too many books. Okay, leave that on to me. I'll include some of these practices for you so that you include them in your daily practices. Okay, but just if you try to do these two, just do these two sentences, this is going to help you. Oops, I'm sorry. Let me go back. We're still in that. Okay, 1 second, folks. 1 second. I'm just going to stop share for 1 second because I need to bring the other screen up for me. Just 1 second. Yes. Okay, I see people now. And screen share. Second screen. Here we go. Oops. Why am I? Oh, yeah, this is. Sorry guys, 1 second. Okay. I did something silly, I think, and I moved the other screen because I have two screens. Um, okay, let's see. All right, never mind. Okay, never mind. So this is my journal. Okay, and let me show you my um, let me show you my ah. Okay, I was looking for my bar. I'm so sorry. One second. Let me show you my mirror. So this will encourage you to get your own mirrors. See, this is my mirror, okay? It's a big enough mirror, okay? But you don't have to have a big mirror. You can have a small mirror, a pocket mirror. And what I want you to do is I want you to hold your mirrors. If you don't have them right now, it's okay. But now you know, and for the rest of the practices, you are going to get yourself a mirror that's just going to be for your self-love practice, okay? So in your mirror, you're going to look at yourself and you're going to say, I approve of myself. Okay. And if you end up focusing on the flaws, okay, bring your focus back. Just bring your focus back. It's going to be difficult for those of you who haven't learned to accept themselves. There's nothing wrong in the sense that you're not going to put yourself in that guilt. It's okay. Whatever is happened in the past is in the past. Now you're making that conscious choice. It might take some time for you to completely accept yourself, okay, but you need to do that. Comparing yourself from what you used to look like 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and what other people look like and what they are doing, that's not going to help. There is no comparison. Learning to love yourself is learning to love yourself inside out, right? So you have to. So this practice is something very magical, huh? Because you're not looking at your flaws. I want you to look in your eyes. Look in your eyes and tell yourself, I approve of myself. I
I
love
approve of
and
myself.
accept myself. Yes.
I love and
Accept myself. I love that. I love that voice that I heard. Okay. I release my fears. Huh? I am loved and I'm loving. So you can, but start with these two. These, I approve of myself. I
I
release all the fears of the past. So that
I
is the
approve
practice.
myself.
Yeah.
I approve myself.
I approve of
My
myself and I approve myself and I approve of myself. Everything I do, I
I approve
validate.
of myself.
Yes,
I approve
absolutely.
of myself. I release all my old guilt.
Absolutely, I
I
release.
I release all my old gift.
Wonderful.
I have to release my whole gift to
No,
be happy.
yes.
To
I
be
am
happy.
releasing. So talk in the present moment, Shashiji. Always in the present moment, not something that you have to. Don't say I have to or I should or I would. Leave that. We will talk about the wording and all that later on. But what you first need to do, you need to remember to be in the present moment. So I would say use present tense. Okay? Present tense, I
I am
release all fears.
releasing.
Yes, I'm
I
releasing
am
or I release.
releasing it. Yeah. I am releasing all my old guilt.
Yes, I
I
am
want to
releasing all
live in
guilt.
praise. I am releasing my guilt
Hmm,
and I approve of myself.
wonderful.
I approve of myself.
Yes,
I am releasing all my old guilt. I am
wonderful.
approving of myself. I
Yeah.
am approving
Yes,
of myself.
absolutely. Thank you so much, Shashiji. That's wonderful. Wonderful. And I'm so glad you're doing this. See, this is a beautiful practice. And I want you to do this. So, your homework is to do this practice 20 times every single day. Every single day. And you know what is the best time you can do it? You can either do it, right after your shower. Okay, you're by yourself in your bathroom right after your shower. Just do this practice, or anytime during the day. Anytime during the day feels heavy. Something has happened. Something feels heavy. It's okay. Go back to yourself. Okay, go back to approving of yourself. No need to go in guilt, no need to go in shame or anything. We don't need any of that. Those are destructive emotions. This is my, I don't know if you can see it. This is, oh, I don't think you can see it. Okay, you know what? Never mind. So I have my own journal with me, right? So I want you to also assign a journal of self-love, okay, for yourself so that you can work on that. I think our session stretched on to way too long today. It's because we have so much to talk about in this class, yeah. So I think we'll figure out a way to sort of shorten it. But yeah, so these practices take time. I want you to make sure that you do this practice. And those of you who haven't read the chapter, please read the chapter. And so that next time we can start with the chapter two, and try to continue with this practice. Okay, the mirror work practice, speaking out for at least minimum 20 times. If you can do that every day, it will be amazing, right? If not 20 times, at least 5 6 times every day is super important. Okay, so anybody has any last questions before I before I close the session?
Uh,
Let me know.
The- so it means that we have to work on ourselves.
Yeah, it's a work on yourself. Absolutely. It is this whole thing is about self work, right? Because think about it. Think about it. We take so much information and knowledge from everywhere, but the knowledge is of no use if you're not applying it. है ना? We can read the book, and like you said, somebody said that I've read the book before, and that's perfect. That's great. Are you applying the principles that she talks about in the book? Do it practically. Only practical application is going to help, because you will read concepts and then you'll forget. I read this in this book, I read that in that book. Now you need to apply it.
Apply, apply it.
Yes, application, practical application. Thank you so much and love you all. Yeah, can you give the sentences in
okay.
written?
Yeah.
Yes. So, what I'm going to do is, do you want me to, okay, so do you want me to share the, so this is, so I approve of myself. So you want me to share like what, a PDF file or something like that, for each class, the affirmations for each class? Yeah.
Yeah,
Let's
that
do
would work.
that. Okay, I can do
Okay.
that. So I'll provide that to you and I'll put it in the chat, okay, in Gaurav sir's group. Okay, so that everyone can then download it and have it with you. But
Okay.
don't make this a habit of only collecting the
Yeah.
PDFs, because I know we live in a digital world where we're constantly collecting information, not putting full energy to anything, right?
Mhm.
So anything, so I'll be sharing that to practice it practically.
Okay.
Okay? Yeah. So I'll be happy to do
Yeah.
that. Okay. Anybody
Yes.
else? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
The book that we were discussing is Mirrorworks.
Yeah. So the book we are doing is You
Mhm.
Can Heal Your Life. Now, because Louise Hay talks about this healing practice, she also wrote a separate book on mirror work, right? So
Okay.
this is a beautiful book, but you can have it. You can either have it and you can simultaneously practice it. But what I really want you to do is read the You Can Heal Your Life chapters. Okay? Because she really talks about all of these things in the most simplest way. If you understand what she's
Mhm.
saying, and plus we're discussing it in the class, then it will be easier for you to apply the practical exercises that she's offering in other things. Because she's also a workbook, there's also a mirror workbook. I did not suggest you guys to, you know, grab those PDFs because that's too much resources. Focus on one thing. I'll bring those to you. And once we have probably, finished this, You Can Heal Your Life, then you can start working on this book also. But, simple exercises. You have to start with something simple. Don't take on too much. That would overwhelm you eventually, and you'll be like, Jasmine, I don't know which one to, what to read. So my advice is only please stick with this book first, okay? And she provides
Mhm.
guidance at the end of each chapter, right? She ended this chapter by talking about self-love and approval, है ना? She talks about forgiveness And then she tells you that loving the self, and she says, loving the self to me begins with never ever criticizing ourselves for anything. Okay? Criticism looks us into the criticism locks us into the very pattern we are trying to change. Okay, so if I say that, like, Shashi ji, aapne, you said one, I remember last time I corrected you. You said that, it always happens to me. This always comes back. I always keep thinking this always comes back. This is also a pattern. It's also affirming. It always comes back. You don't have to say that. You don't have to even tell yourself that. You have to catch yourself in the moment. If that happens, okay, I know this thought is recurring. I'm going to change that pattern. If the pattern tells me that person hurt me and made me sad, what do? You just do the opposite. You send love to that person. Okay? I send love to everyone around me. I forgive and release this person. Okay? And then, so that's where meditation comes in. So when you meditate and you forgive, it's very powerful. Okay? So along with this narrative change, we need to continue meditating. So when we meditate and inculcate forgiveness in our session, in our daily practice, it really helps in releasing uh, those energies. Because what do you mean by forgiving and releasing? You're detaching. You're not giving energy to those feelings. Okay, you're not even giving energy to that person. Anything you're thinking about or anyone you're thinking about is giving energy. If you're thinking about someone in the most loving manner, you're also giving energy, but you're giving positive energy. Yeah? And then the opposite is also true, isn't it? So know that detaching yourself, shifting your thought. Huh? Narrative work helps in shifting your thought, and that's how your brain rewires. Okay, this is what Joe Dispenza talks about. Shift your thought, change your life. Change your thought, change your life. You'll hear him say this over and over again. And this is exactly what Louise Hay talks about as well. Okay, but she'll talk about things in a more deeper way with what happens when you criticism, resentment, pain, guilt, all fear and guilt. These things are very, very, very harmful for us. So we need to learn to change our narrative systematically. And in each chapter, she talks about that a little bit more in depth. Okay. In the next chapter, she's going to talk about what's the problem. Why people keep going back in old narratives. You know, that's not how we need to live our lives. So she again talks about that in detail. So we'll talk about that a little bit, and I'll come back with more practices. But I want you to practice this so that we can really start seeing impact. Okay, in our mindset shift. Anybody has any questions? I think I'm talking
So
too
it
much.
means that you always should have a positive thought.
Yeah, I'm not saying that you don't, that you have to criticize it for having a negative thought, but you have to understand that what is it doing to you? Anything you hold on to it, it doesn't mean that you don't express yourself, right? You might find, you know, I'll give you an example. Um, Holding on to something that happened and not expressing yourself is very destructive, right? You have the right to express yourself, and you absolutely, by all means, should. But how do you choose to express yourself is important. So if someone said something to you and you're like, you're feeling bad because someone said something, okay, or someone did something, that doesn't mean you have to condone bad behavior or someone tried to hurt in some whatever way, unconsciously or consciously, okay? Now, what you need to do is you need to set boundaries, and you can express yourself, and you can say, okay, this is not right. I do not appreciate this behavior, and and then just take distance from that person. And if you're feeling really like you want to express yourself, I'll give you one technique to do that. And I'll tell you the opposite, what happens when you do the opposite. If we want to express ourselves through yelling, shouting, and screaming, expressing ourselves, okay? Crying is absolutely okay. Do cry. Crying is actually a very, uh, you know, uh,
Release your thing.
yeah, it helps in releasing. It's catharsis,
Yeah.
right? It's very important.
Yeah.
Actually, you should do that. If you feel like crying, just cry it out, okay? But yelling and screaming, I'll tell you what, sometimes it helps if it's in a very not for a very long time, but if it prolongs, it only impacts us because it starts impacting our, entire our physical systems, right? Our heartbeat increases, our heart rate increases, our blood pressure goes up, all of those things happen, right? So it ultimately only comes back to creating that destructive, results for us. But the best way to do it, the best way to do it is either cry it out, share. It's okay to share. It's okay to talk about it. How can you share if nobody's available? For instance, I have had so many times and I wanted to share, no one was there, and I was like, what do I do? What do I do? Now I found a technique. Write it out. Journaling is a great way to release. Okay? Write down everything. Write down all your frustrations, whatever someone did, blah, blah, blah. Don't read it the second time. Burn it. That's also a way to sort of create sort of a release. I have taken it out. I have now let go. It happened. This is what it caused. These are the feelings it caused. But now I am learning, I am letting go of it because holding on to it is what is destructive. Okay? Don't hold on to it.
So it means write it on the page every day, and if it's a negative feeling, tear them up and throw it away,
Throw
burn
it
them
away
up.
because you don't want to read them like affirmations over and over again.
No.
The whole point is releasing, expressing, releasing, and letting go. Expressing and then releasing them, letting them go. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a really, I know it sounds crazy, but it's actually a great technique. You can do it. I've done that too. Writing on a small piece of paper, releasing guilt or releasing, forgiving somebody. Name of the person. If you want to write the name of the person, if you don't want to write the name of the person, think, right, I forgive you, I love you, and I thank you, and I release you. Okay, thank you because life experiences, whatever that brought, I learned, and now I am releasing whatever pain it caused, and I'm releasing that person, releasing that energy. Okay, so that's one of the things you can do. Beautiful session, Jess. Thank you, Amrita, and thank you, Nima, and thank you so much, Shashiji, and thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for your lovely Lakshmi ji. Thank you so much. Yes, and I will share the sentences, and I hope that you all have a wonderful, wonderful weekend and a lovely week ahead. So thank you for being there, and I hope you practice these, and we
Hi,
will see.
Jess.
Yes,
Okay,
hi.
so we write down if some thought hurt us, we just write down or somebody and we just like burn it. That's it, right?
So first is
Mm-hmm.
recognizing how you're feeling, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And this method that I suggested is if you're carrying too much, that you're not able to let go. First
Mm-hmm.
is that we talked about some of those techniques, right? We talked about the technique of um, recognizing where it's coming from, right? Recognize where the narrative is coming from. If someone hurt you, someone said something, then consciously shifting your thought process. Because
Mm-hmm.
if you don't do this consciously, unconsciously you're buying into that narrative, right? So the method I shared with Shashiji, that I shared earlier, just now, is really that last sort of a resort. Okay, but yeah, if you're carrying too much, if you want to really really express yourself, because a lot of what we are is because of what we don't express openly, right?
Yeah.
So if we haven't done that, it's time to do that. We can't always find everybody to listen to all our problems, isn't it? You call up your best friend once, talk about your problems. Second day, talk about your problems. Third day, talk about fourth day, she'll be like, I'm so tired of listening to your problems.
Yeah, nobody have
Right?
time for it.
Right? Or what do you do then? You have to learn to find your own way to express yourself. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Find, whether you talk to, I've heard so many people who have this other, method of expressing themselves is like imagining, because, the Almighty is within you and around you. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So whatever image you've given to the Almighty, whatever it is, because the Almighty is just an energy, though. We're that loving, divine energy of love. So imagine just expressing and pouring all of that, whatever frustration, just expressing it. And imagine that your Almighty, your divine power, that created you, that is also within you, is just, is acknowledging everything you're saying, right? And, but then that's what I'm saying. You can either do that, or you can learn to just approve of yourself. You can say that, yes, I acknowledge all of that happened. The other method you can use is write it on a paper. But if you want to pour out all the negativity, do it on a paper and destroy it. Don't go back to it. Don't make a journal of those negative thoughts. Your journal is for your positive rewiring, not of repeating negative patterns. Okay? Negative patterns need to be caught. You recognize them. If you want to write them down, then throw them away. So there are multiple ways of dealing with what you're going through.
Mm-hmm.
Expression is important. In all of this, and she's going to go into that as well. Like, so Hale goes into that as well and talks about how do you express yourself, right? So self-expression can be done in multiple ways, whatever is best for you, but make sure that you do the uh, rewiring of your narrative. Change your narrative.
Mm-hmm.
Don't hold on to the thoughts that are in your mind, taking place in your mind. And most of all, meditate. One of the things, the best things you can do is meditate, because your quantum of thoughts and your trauma is going to be released during that meditation. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So consciously take time out to meditate and do the inner work that you have to do along with it. Okay?
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Anytime. Thank you, everybody. And hope you have a fantastic, fantastic week ahead. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
And good night.
Thank you.
Thank you again.
Thank you so much.
Bless
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you
Jess.
so
Thank
much.
you, Jess. Thank
Thank you,
you.
and bless you all. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.